If there's the world and love were young, truth in every shepherd's tongue, these pretty pleasures. Sunsets yellow far below the trees, and the light blue sky is fading by degrees. I hold my head silent in the breeze, and this long flat land, it will bring you to your knees. Up high I see 1,000 campfires and glowing, while their old time smoke is drilling where I just don't know. Well, that's 1,000 miles and nothing to show, and just me and this campfire together down below. And won't you bury me in Coolgardie, oh, where the angels sing and the devils agree. Bury me in Coolgardie. Well, the campfire's cold and the money's new, and I'm left here weeping at everything you do. That's when the cold black wind comes whistling through. You know there's somebody else here who is, who knows who. So won't you bury me in Coolgardie, or where the angels sing and the devils agree. Bury me in Coolgardie, down in a red cemetery. Bury me in Coolgardie. Thank you very kindly. Now, Dylan, ready for the main events? We've lost our MC. Everybody's gone. Alright, I'll do a more joyous number, and I'm sure they're at the front door. Well, you love me forever and think I'm still, if not for the weather, she'd be here still. Before rain fall, till in my mind, I'd be searching through the darkest forest, hoping to find. Well, I'm searching, high and low, hoping that one day she'd come to know that for my part I am what I am, and there's nothing will cease once began, because happiness to me is you satisfy my mind. Loving all I do in love isn't just my place and time. I cannot help the what I am that you and I do make. Love to me is everything, that is why I do partake. Well, I think on her still as she moved from the door. She sat down beside me, sexual to the core. She moved on still closer, right near to my mouth. And from her body I heard these words ring out. She said, happiness to me is you satisfy my mind. Loving all I do in love isn't just my place in time. I cannot help the what I am that you and I do make. Love to me is everything, that is why I do partake. No more for you, babe, I can't take you no more. I'm hurting, and this here's the score. If you don't love me, then love me please. But for this moment, right here, right now, I bring my heart ease. And she said, happiness to me is you satisfy my mind. Loving all I do in love is just my place in time. I cannot help the what I am that you and I do make. Love to me is everything, that is why I do partake. Okay, Dylan.
You got one more, or is that it?
Okay.
All right. Thanks for being patient, everyone. We just had Jason give an impromptu performance because he was just filling in for our opening act. So once again, can we get a big round for Jason? Bringing down the house. And Jason's been coming back and forth between Canberra and Alice Springs for a couple of months now, so he's probably done as many miles on the road as I have this year. Maybe. The competition's on. But yeah, we are running through till 5 o'clock today, folks, so thanks heaps for coming down. We do have some guest speakers from the Tent Embassy coming up to the stage now. That'll be Uncle Chris from Alice Springs and Rodney Kelly from the Guigal clan. And just a bit of background information about why we're all here today is because we have, of course, got Anzac Day coming up on Monday. And traditionally every year at the Tent Embassy we march from the Sacred Fire to the War Memorial there. And that march is to honour the spirits of the ancestors that were murdered in Australia during the colonisation. And that's a story that's often swept under the rug and not spoken about at all in the mainstream or in the education system, especially in the past, but more and more coming into the forefront in the future. So that's why at the 10 Embassy, it's our job to make these issues known to the public and about the true history of Australia and what's going on. Come on the stage, guys. Come on to the stage. Everyone, we get a round of applause for Uncle Chris and Rodney Kelly on the stage. Thanks, chairs and mics, everybody. I guess I'll do a little bit of MC work, but essentially we're here to tell stories. And I don't know if anyone was watching the news during yesterday. We were on ABC, Canberra Times, and Triple J News yesterday because this young man here, Rodney's come up to the 10 Embassy. What was it, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. And he came to the 10 Embassy there and he said to us, my ancestors' artifacts are in the museum there at Canberra, and they're going back to England tomorrow, and we want to keep them here in Australia. So, can you give us a hand? And of course, we said, "Yep." So we pretty much marched on down to the museum there, and well, I won't spill the beans on the story, but anyway, we basically made a claim that all the artifacts from Australia belong to the original people that produced them, and they belong on the land where they're from, not in the British Museum or overseas. And that was the essential story, and we haven't got them back yet. Well, it's an ongoing struggle between Rodney and his family and the British Museum, who has basically, Captain Cook stole some of their artifacts in 1770 when they first came, and it's an ongoing struggle to get them back. So that's what we're talking about. And that's the beginning of the Frontier Wars, which is what our campaign at the 10 Embassy is about at the moment. It's all the violence that happened in Australia during the European colonisation. So that's the theme for today. It's about the Frontier Wars, and it's about healing and unity between black and white Australia, if you will call it that. If any other members of 10 Embassy crew want to come up and give some speaking now, please feel free to come up and sit up here. And if you want to add in, please do. And we'll take questions back and forth as well. So I'm just going to introduce Uncle Chris and Rodney Kelly here, and I'll be around with the mics and all that. And we're just here to tell a few stories. We're here till 5. There'll be some more cultural music performances throughout the day as well. And like I said, if you have any questions, maybe just put your hand up and we'll take questions too. But I'm just going to hand over to Uncle Chris now, and if you'd introduce Rodney for me, that'd be a great pleasure. Thank you very much, Uncle Chris.
I think you've already done that. Have you left anything for me? My name's Chris Puljari. I'm from Central Australia, Alice Springs. And my agenda there is the Pine Gap facility, but we're not into the heavies just yet. We're into the Frontier War. And as Dylan has said, with Rodney here coming to the embassy, and what we've noticed about the shield is significance with the musket hole in it that was fired when James Cook first arrived in Australia. And that shows that it wasn't peaceful. There was no treaties, there was no negotiation, there was no peaceful settlement. And the shield indicates that through with the bullet hole, or musket hole in it. And it goes back to the start of when white and black Australians first had the contact. And that's where we've taken this Frontier War journey back to the past, back to the beginning, where whites and blacks had their first contact. And that's what we call the healing. When you can go back to the start of something and start working your way through it, you can always look at a brighter future. And that's what the Frontier Wars this year is all about. The past, the healing, and hopefully, not hopefully, but the unity will come as that. And Rodney here has spoke a bit about, we don't know the in-depth about his family and his history on the shield, but he's up here now. I'd like to introduce Rodney to give a bit of a talk about his connection to the shield and how much it means to him and his family. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So I'm here today to tell you a story, about the shield and about my ancestors and about my fight to get the shield and spears returned to our country and our people. So my ancestors are the Weagle clan from Cundell, and that's the southern end of Botany Bay, and that's where we lived for thousands of years. And on that day in 1770, my family, they were all camped around Botany Bay. And yeah, what they seen was a big bird coming in. And yeah, they were all wondering what it was. They followed it in, and it finally anchored, and here comes Captain Cook in his two boats with like 40 to 50 armed Marines, and my people, just watched them and followed them. They were shouting at them, and Cook and his crew, they were shouting back. All they wanted was to come ashore to find water. That's what they told my people. And my people shouted back at them. They were shouting, "We're away." And like both parties couldn't understand each other. Well, before Cook come ashore, that's when he fired shots at my ancestors. And that scared them a bit. But they stayed there and they kept shouting, and they parleyed for a while shouting at each other, and another shot was fired and it hit my ancestor, and when it hit him, he ran back to his hut, and that's when he pulled out his shield. So he grabbed his shield and ran back down to the shoreline, and by that time Captain Cook had landed. And that's when more shots were fired, more spears were thrown, and that's when my ancestors got very scared and ran away. And my ancestor dropped his shield, and it was picked up by Captain Cook and his crew. And that's the shield that the British Museum own. And well, after they picked the shield up, they walked up to my ancestors' huts, and that's where some scared children were sitting there. They were hiding, and they threw some beads and strings and some other stuff in there for the children. But after that, they thought that was payment, and they would take the 40 to 50 spears that were laying around that belonged to my ancestors. And that's when they returned to the boat and dropped off all their riches, what they just taken from ashore. And that man who was there that day and who held the shield, he's my sixth great-grandfather. His grandson had the same name, and that was Cooman. And he was my grandfather, the spearman's grandson. He was the last of the Georges River tribe. And that family, my family, he had a daughter, and then that kid had my great-great-grandmother, and her name's Queen Emma Timbry of La Perouse. And so we're the family who was there that day when Captain Cook sailed in. And them stories are told throughout my family, and I still tell them stories today, to my kids. So, the stories from that day in 1770, they still survive today, and they're still taught to the younger generation in my family. And so my fight is to try and get the shield and spears returned for my people, because it's very significant to us, and I believe that once the Shield and Spears return to Australia, like, it's a great story for every Australian citizen to be able to go and read the story about what happened that day and, you know, have a look at the Shield and Spears. So, yeah, my campaign is to try and get British Museum to return the Shield and Spears. I've been in talks with them, and they've just recently sent me a letter, and what they basically said was, if you and your people want the Shield and Spears, you just can have a loan of it. And that's only if we have the proper facilities, you know, proper care for it. But yeah, so all they want to do is loan my people the artefacts what my ancestors used. And yeah, so my campaign is to try and bring that shield home, because I think it's a story, you know, that can be shared with the whole Australia, and everybody could learn about what happened that day and know that Australia wasn't peacefully settled. You know, there were 40 to 50 armed Marines, and there was only 2 of my ancestors who stood there, you know. So, and they were painted up in their war paint. You know, they were ready for war. See, because in our tradition, if you want to go to somebody else's territory, you can't just walk in. You can't just go there. You can't walk through it. You know, you've got to ask them for permission. So, for them seeing Captain Cook, you know, coming to the bay, and that bay was their area as well. You know, the other tribe, they couldn't come into their part of the bay. You know, they had to let us know. So them 2 men, yeah, they stood there. They were ready for war. They were painted up in their war paint, and that's the only time like we'd get painted up for war with our war paint, and either that and for ceremonies. But yeah, so that's my campaign, and I'd just like the Shield and Spears to return, because you know that marks the first contact, and that is the start of the frontier wars against our people, you know, and it hasn't stopped today. So if we can get that story out of that first war, you know, I think Australia will be better off once they learn the real truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. That was unveiling the conspiracies and the stories that we all heard in our past, where Captain Cook arrived with a big chest load of jewelleries and trinkets, and you know, it actually undermines that now. And as Rodney was saying about that shield and the spears, that is an icon, and it's something very important and significant, not only to Rodney and his family and his tribe and Aboriginal people in this country, but for all Aboriginal and white Australians to witness this and to see this and to support him in getting this back, because it not only belongs to the country, but it belongs to everybody that's here in this country. And that is the first stepping stone that we can, everyone can get together with.
I want to ask Rodney, when you win, where would you like?
Well, like we don't have the resources